Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking a deeply fascinating piece of source material. And the thing is, it doesn't just present facts to you, it actually tries to speak directly to you, right in the middle of your day. The text we're analyzing today frames itself as a direct, really intimate message that's meant to literally interrupt your routine. It's grounded, it's super personal, and it addresses that quiet exhaustion so many of us carry around completely unnoticed. Whether you approach this from a deeply spiritual perspective, looking for God's presence in those hidden struggles, or just as a profound exploration of the human condition, the emotional resonance of this text is undeniably powerful.
Okay, let's dive into this. Do you feel a spiritual heaviness you just can't explain? The source material immediately grounds us in this very specific, very raw emotional reality. It speaks directly to a tired, restless soul. It totally bypasses the superficial layer of our daily routines and asks if you're experiencing a heaviness that kind of defies logical explanation. It acknowledges that you might be carrying a weight that isn't just, physical tiredness from a long day at work, but something much deeper, a literal exhaustion of the spirit.
Moving right into Section 1, the divine interruption, more than ordinary timing. The text positions this very encounter not as the product of some random social media algorithm, but as a divine appointment. It uses this incredible quote, "I stopped you because something inside you has been quietly asking questions you have not spoken aloud." I mean, wow, right? The narrative here is that this interruption acts as a targeted answer to your silent, unvoiced exhaustion. It's a huge acknowledgement that we all walk around with these secret questions about our purpose, our pain, our direction, that we just never dare to speak out loud. The source frames this moment as a direct response to those hidden prayers.
Which brings us to Section 2, Unseen Pain, Hidden Struggles, the Weight We Carry.
We really need to just sit with the gravity of what the text is addressing here for a second. Silence does not hide pain from me. Quiet suffering is still fully visible in my sight. This is such a profound validation of the human experience. It tells the reader that crying unnoticed or pretending everything's completely fine when your inner world is honestly falling apart, it doesn't make your struggle invisible. It brings right to that intensely isolating feeling of suffering in silence, offering the comfort of being completely, truly seen.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what that quiet suffering looks like in everyday life. The text breaks down these highly relatable indicators of hidden fatigue. Things like smiling just because it's expected of you, waking up already weighed down by yesterday's baggage, finding super simple tasks inexplicably difficult, or just choosing silence because honestly explaining the pain takes way too much energy. The source is identifying the precise anatomy of spiritual and emotional burnout here.
In response to all that burnout, the text explicitly states that God's presence doesn't measure human worth by the outward strength we project to the world. In those isolated moments of weakness, when the mask finally slips and the fatigue really sets in, the source claims God's presence remains steadfastly close to you. Your value, according to this narrative, is entirely independent of your ability to keep up appearances.
All right, shifting gears and bringing the energy up a bit. Section 3, Identity Before the World, Who You Truly Are. Let's move to and see how this builds. The source really elevates its claims here, zooming way out from the intimacy of hidden pain to the vastness of your eternal purpose. It maps out this concept of pre-existence beautifully across a timeline. It starts way back in eternity, where your identity is formed by divine intention. Then, 9 months prior to birth, purpose is embraced in the womb. By day 1, your earthly arrival happens, and human expectations begin to pile on. And finally, the present day, we're all just navigating worldly pressures. The text essentially argues that divine knowing and purpose come way before any human history or societal label.
To really clarify this, the source draws a super sharp distinction. On one side, we have the world's view, where your worth is constantly fluctuating, right? It's based on your performance, your mistakes, how others see you, the rejections you face. But on the other side is heaven's view, where your worth was definitively established before your birth, completely untouched and altered by earthly shadows, failures, or human misunderstanding.
So the crucial point is this: destiny was not a reaction to what happened later. It was spoken before later ever existed. The text is making a powerful theological and philosophical argument here. It's saying your past mistakes, your pain, and the rejections you faced have absolutely zero authority to rewrite an identity that was established before time even began. Your value is proactive, not reactive.
It honestly all boils down to this singular, bedrock truth from the text. Purpose existed before pain ever arrived. Hardships, earthly failures, deep wounds, they do not diminish your inherent value or your divine calling. The source insists that while pain might explain some of your fears today, it absolutely does not own your identity.
And that leads us into our final section, Section 4, Purpose and Spiritual Heaviness, Understanding the Transition.
So, how does this text actually reframe those current feelings of restlessness and exhaustion we talked about at the very beginning? Well, it provides this really beautiful, anchoring definition for the meaning behind spiritual heaviness. It defines it not as mere physical tiredness or depression, but as the soul sensing an unseen shift or transition before the logical mind can fully understand or even put a name to it. It totally separates the exhaustion of the body from the deep inner workings of spiritual movement.
Because of this shift, the text explains that you might be feeling a strange inner restlessness. Familiar routines and comforts might suddenly just lose their hold on you. But the source reframes this so brilliantly. It says this discomfort is preparation, not punishment. It's a quiet signal of a changing season inside you, a totally necessary loosening of the old stuff to make way for the new, rather than a sign that you're somehow failing.
To help us kind of pinpoint this, the text lists a few specific signs indicating you're actually undergoing a spiritual shift. These include sudden, unexpected memories returning to the surface, familiar comforts no longer satisfying you, a strange, almost magnetic pull towards silence, and an unexplained inner restlessness. If you're feeling these things, the text strongly suggests you aren't falling apart. You're just transitioning.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it points out the gap between our spiritual awareness and our mental understanding. Your soul senses transitions before your thoughts can name them. The source acknowledges that as human beings, we often feel a massive shift long before we can articulate it. The heaviness arrives first because your spirit knows a season is ending, even while your brain is still trying to catch up and demanding an explanation for it all. Summarizing the core narrative arc of the source material, we land on this profound conclusion. The interruption is mercy, not an accident. God's presence, according to this text, interrupts our exhaustion and our doom scrolling, not to burden us, but out of a really profound love. It stops us to rescue our attention, to answer our quiet pain, and to literally prepare us to recognize the transitions unfolding within our own lives.
Which leaves us with a final, pretty provocative thought to consider. Based on absolutely everything this text presents about unseen pain, divine timing, and pre-existent worth, the big question becomes, will you let the weight of your hidden struggles reveal the strength of your eternal identity? It's a striking concept. It challenges us to look way beyond our immediate exhaustion and consider the deeper, unchanging purpose beneath the whole shebang. Thank you so much for joining me in breaking down this fascinating source material.